everyone, and welcome to episode 15 of the LFC Toronto show. And what a time to be a Red. There's so much already to talk about, and then we just witnessed another crazy game today in the Champions League, which I'm sure will come up. To start this show, before I do the introductions of our regulars and our amazing guests today, I just want to say one thing. To quote Akash from our Liverpool Toronto group, Man City are like a fine sangria bottled in Madrid. Just
in, Akash.
Yeah, just drink that one in. My name's Azaz. I've got Jake and Dan, our regulars. How's it going, fellas?
Going?
Amazing.
Good day.
With us today, we have a very esteemed guest of the Liverpool Toronto community. Andy, before we get into who you are and everything, we always ask our guests, what made you a Liverpool fan in the first place? And then we get into how you started interacting with Liverpool Supporters Club Toronto, which we know is going to be a cool story in your respect, because I think it's going to be a bit different from someone just finding the pub or Googling it. But before we get into that, please tell us what made you a Liverpool fan.
Well, first of all, I got to say thank you all for having me on here. Incredible. Listen, what you guys are doing with the club is just genius. So fair dues to you all. I think you're doing everyone proud who came before you, and so thank you. So I came by it naturally. I was born in Birkenhead, which is now the city of Liverpool region, and I was born in '69. So I was 8 in 1977. So those years where. Wow. And, I think they'd won in 72, 74, or, I think we won it 5 times in the 70s. And so I was 8, 9, 10, 11 when we got Kevin Keegan, and then this other fella came in after him called Kenny Dalglish. And so
that guy, I've heard of him. Yeah.
I was in that when we all start in our really supporting our teams. I was in those pinnacle years of, 3 minutes down the road.
Yeah.
So I come from a mixed family. Dad's a blue, mum's a red. And so it's in my blood. It's not, I have a 14-year-old son. I tried to explain it to him, and it's not even, I don't know whether you guys feel the same way. It's not even like support. It's like, it's unconditional.
Mm-hmm.
My support. It's if one of these Leeds United things happened and we were down in the northern Vauxhall or whatever they call it nowadays, it would I'd still be wearing the badge. It'd still be cheer. Like, it's not
absolutely.
It's just unconditional. It doesn't matter whose name is on the back, the badge on the front. So for me, that's what it is.
That's amazing.
Amazing. Yeah, great story. And then tell us, because you've got a history with OLSC Toronto. So tell us how you got involved and just everything just tell us that story.
So we, would have been the early 2000s, and there was a group who were meeting, and you probably all heard various different stories. And so let's consider this my version.
The official version.
So there was a core group of wonderful Scousers who met at the Duke of Gloucester, and then there was a small group, not many of us, and it was basically myself, Alan Chen, and Ben Harrison, who went to Scallywags just because we lived at Yonge and Sinclair. And so then I got involved with the official Liverpool Supporters Club of Canada, which was being run out of Ottawa. And I said, listen, you've got 3 bloody members. How do you get official status? So I wrote to the club and I said, hey, there's a group here, and I've been talking to Mike, and I think
shout out Mike Humphries.
Yes. I can get to. I mean, poor old Mike. I'll get to him in a minute. We got in contact with Mike. And we and the gang there, which is Mike and Nora and Graham, God rest his soul, and Nora, Lisa, Jim Granger, and they came to we came together, and we tried a few different venues. We tried it a couple times down at PJ O'Brien's. There was a couple of other pubs. Then it just so happened then that the red team that plays 40 miles away from our ground, they left Scallywags, and we knew Jeff quite well. So I'm just like, hey, Mike, I buzzed Mike. In those days, Mike had a beeper if you wanted to get him. So there was the first few years there, I probably beeped Mike every day for a good couple of years. Like, we spoke every day when we were putting this together. We gave it our all. He put up with me. I think Mike's probably, gosh, Mike, if you listen to this, please forgive me, 10, 12, 15 years, maybe my senior. So he was putting up with my sort of juvenile, adrenaline, let's get this club going, blah, blah, blah. And he's probably at work, getting buzzed going, who's this bloody lunatic? Buzzing me again. But he was wonderful. And he obviously had to put as much energy in it as myself. And we were able to get into Scallywags with Jeff. And then really once we get there, we were blessed by some incredible good fortune. And that was, we had the Champions World or Champion, when we played Porto at the Sky Dome.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And, I remember going to that match, yeah.
I think that was our first thing in our first official year, or maybe just as around we were time of getting it. So it really put us right on the map, like in a huge global scale. People were coming to us for tickets because we were doing distributing tickets to us. Poor old Nora Dolby. Right. She was had like sticky notes of like, Johnny needs 3 tickets and so needs this. And I think at one point we had $90,000 in the bank because we were were like trying to move this money around and pay for tickets here and there. But so we were able to take that energy, and then we were able to keep it going. We brought you guys might have a better memory of this than me, but I think we then had the good fortune of bringing Ronnie Yates in. Then it was the Saint, and then Davy Fairclough, and then Phil Neal, and then I think, and then obviously
Bruce Grobler.
Then Bruce. Yeah. But then we had this other incredible thing where we had this Masters football, and these legends come to play with Molby and Gary Gillespie, John Walk. Again, Phil Neal was on that team, and a bunch of others. And so they came. We had a dinner at Scallywags upstairs. And it was just, so we had these two sort of things, like huge things any supporters club would really want, ever in their history. We had them within our first, year and a half, 2 years. So it really put us out there and really gave us a lot to sort of build upon. Like, and hey, this is how much we did when we were during our years. You guys are like huge.
No,
you guys are like, it's so impressive. It's so impressive what you guys are doing. I love it. My son loves it. My friends love it. Ben Harrison, who was the guy who registered LFCToronto.com, loves it. You guys are just killing it. It's brilliant. Thank you so much for all you do.
Andrew, if I could say something, and again, I haven't seen much of you, but I've heard through Jake and obviously today on today's show, but just how you describe the club and its foundation and its just inception, and those early or sort of morning beeps, or to Mike and all that kind of stuff. It's that sense of community, even if it's a couple of buddies coming together at the pub at the Duke of G from those early beginnings to what it is now for our Carabao Cup final. I think that vein of community and honestly a sense of family that I think you guys probably formed, or well, you guys formed way back when, and we have that now, and we're just celebrating it. We're just trying to like bring in more and more fellow Reds, and I think that all started from you guys, and honestly, you deserve that praise and that credit. So I just want to say that, you know what I mean? So no, cheers. Seriously,
thank you. That's very kind. No. Very kind. But there was a lot of hard, and you're right. We were very blessed. Like I would never hear a bad word said about Mike, Graham, Nora, Lisa, Jim, Ben. I just could never hear about, if someone was to say something, even oh, Mike parked in front of me, I would take great offense to that. Just because we were, as I said, I spoke to Mike more than, maybe that's why I'm no longer married to the same person. But I spoke to Mike probably more than I did the ex-missus. We had lovely times. We went over to watch matches together. There were times when we were going. 2, 3, 4, 5 times a year. We'd try and get that midweek game and then the weekend game. So you got 2 matches.
Yeah. Time it nicely.
And just, it was great. One time, I don't know whether I told you the story, Jake, but one time Jeff May from Scally's came over with us, and we were with my family over in West Kirby on the Wirral, and we went into this little village train station, and we were with my cousin. My cousin says, "Oh yeah, these lads are visiting from Toronto." And this is the guy who's taking the tickets. He goes, "Oh, I've been to Toronto." He goes, I went to a place called Scallywags. You ever heard of it?" I said, "Yeah, this guy here owns it."
What a small world.
Nice.
Yeah,
wow.
It's crazy. But it's been like that the whole time. So I think you really hit the nail on the head. We've found that we had this community. People back home embraced us. Like Steve Dunn at the museum, who's the official archivist. And like, I would consider him a good friend. Phil Neal is my son's godfather.
Wow.
Steve Hunter, who does the home games, is a good friend. Like these, you guys saw the Davy Fairclough message. I just sent him a text today. Davy, can you send a message for the supporters club?
I posted
it. It was built. You were so right to say this. It was built on community. It was never built on becoming millionaires or what's the best. What can I get out of it for me? It was built on this community of Liverpool Football Club that was, again, getting back to what I said, which was unconditional love.
Unconditional.
Where we're from, it's our community, and it's. As I was saying to you earlier, and sorry for rambling, my granddad was
no, this is amazing.
Right? And he went to Gladys Street every day, but on away days, he went to Liverpool.
Yeah, I've heard those stories. Yeah.
So just because it was just to go and see a footy match, right? Yeah. Just different times.
It's wonderful.
Now it's wonderful.
I'm going to shut.
No, that's just a wonderful story.
That's fantastic, and thanks for all that hard work and effort you guys put in.
Yeah,
you built the foundation. Graham, Benny, Laura, all of them. It must have been a nice time to have drinks back then. At the Jew. I was only there a few times before we went to Scally's, but I got some of that atmosphere, and then it was so welcoming. Like Graham was so welcoming, Mike was so welcoming.
Yeah.
And it's carried on because rest in peace, Graham. But I do talk to Mike quite a bit as well, and you can see that it's like he's like one of my grandfathers kind of thing.
Yeah.
In terms of the community, right? Like he gives you guidance. I've been to the States with him to watch a couple of games, but it's a fantastic foundation you all built, and we really thank you for that.
Yeah,
grateful for that.
Well, and we had Brian Budd involved with us for a little bit. God bless him as well. He was sort of involved because he was the Carlsberg rep, or he was the blue rep, and Carlsberg was in with blue at that point, and so he was very helpful in getting a few things done. And then we were able to just get little things done that were sort of in line with the supporters club. I know Jake and I spoke about it when I saw you a month or so ago, like the beer mats. I just called Carlsberg. This is after Budgie had gone, but and it was a no-brainer for me. Like, put our logo on one side, Carlsberg on the other. And they were like, yeah, okay, so it was done. And we put them all over the city, right? It was Carlsberg on one side and the logo on the other. So just little things that we were trying to think of, because we weren't as advanced in social media and YouTube and all this, that you guys are just exploiting so brilliantly. Or not exploiting, but using to its like
we're exploiting.
Propagating. We're propagating.
Well,
we are exploiting. We are exploiting. We are exploiting.
For sure.
Okay, and I think the guy said it, like, we salute you for everything you did. And like, this show is obviously a product of the community, and the community is built on the hard work that you folks did. So, and Jake, you were going to say something. Sorry, man.
No. Like, this is great, but I want to get into the.
Okay.
Let's get
into it.
All right.
All
dig into the meat.
We've been saying what a time to be a Red, and now, normally we start this show by recapping what happened on the weekend, and then if there was a midweek game, that usually comes after, because we always record this after the Tuesday or Wednesday, because we ain't about that Thursday. We don't play on Thursday. We either play on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. And yet, we will talk about Newcastle later on. Seems so long ago, because, folks, we are going to another Champions League final. We're going for number 7. Those people think they're getting number 14. We'll talk about tonight's game as well, because that was nuts. It's in Paris. Exactly. It's in Paris, where we actually won our third back in 1981. Jake, I'm just going to start. Yeah, exactly. I'm just going to start with you. Talk us through a few of the thoughts of yesterday's match. I mean, you can start with that first half. Like, what the hell? What was that all about?
I could not have been, but that was not the script that I had thought at all. Because going back to Villarreal over their campaign to this Champions League final, and looking at the stats, 2 shots, 3 shots, 4 shots, giving the other team possession. I think Bayern had 27 or 37 shots or something like that on net, and they only had 3 or 4, and they scored on one or whatever. It's the same kind of case with Juventus and so on and so forth. So I was like, what team is Villarreal going to be at their home soil? And I think I was reading that I think in the city there's maybe 70,000 or 80,000 people
50,
in the city as a whole, and
50 is the total.
And basically there's like 30,000 at the match. Essentially, like half of the city's at the match, given our our allocation, which is crazy. It's small, it's tight, and like you can, and those Spanish fans are very boisterous, and like they're like on top of you. And the first 5 minutes, I was like literally crapping my pants, because I was like, this cannot happen. And then we've always talked about our mentality, and we turn off and turn on. The expectation is that did I feel like we took it for granted in the first? We were kind of lackadaisical here and there, and I'm like, this cannot happen. Okay, fine. We chalked up that one. Let's get some rest in, kind of settle in. Well, we didn't settle. And shortly thereafter, there was number 2, and I'm like, oh my God, is this happening? Is this really happening in front of us? And then I'm like, what are we doing? And Thiago hit the crossbar. I'm like, okay, it is. And then we got some fleeting moments of happiness. And then I was like, okay, what are we going to do now? Like, literally, we're getting overrun in the midfield. The pressure situation that we applied to them, they applied to us, right? And it was almost like the carbon copy of what we did to them. First half happens. The Moreno that came in for them, he came in,
played really well.
And I think that his hamstring kind of pull, if I can say that, changed that midfield dynamic a little bit. But the story is, when you're going into halftime right now and you're two up, you're like, what's your mentality as a player? Are you trying not to lose? Or are you still going to play your offensive game in this case, right? And so does that fear start to set in? And of course, we have Mr. Colombian, the Super Colombian. Like I could not be more elated, of course, with the results and our progression. And then this is like almost a carbon copy, prototypical Liverpool match, right? In terms of like, we're highs, lows. That's been our club for years and years upon years, right? We always have faith. We always have heart. We always have drive. And then this is the impetus that happened, and we won. And it's like, this is crazy. Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, it speaks to our pedigree and our football heritage, as Jose Mourinho would say. But no, but if you look, I think you're right. If you look back at the last three semifinals we had, right? I mean, obviously Barca, Roma, and this one, we have had those lapses, right? Where we just, for some reason, we lose it or we're just not at it. I felt in the first half, I don't know about you guys, but their pitch just felt really small, right? Mm-hmm. And so when they started to put that pressure on, you would think with like Robbo was poor in the first half. I felt our mid, obviously Naby and Thiago, we didn't make a pass, here or there. I mean, small like touches were really, really hard. And so I was thinking like just a little bit of pressure, and Moreno obviously as well, and Capuy and those guys. And it was like we couldn't even get out of our end at times. We couldn't even, hold the ball. Diogo, I felt really bad for him because I felt that it just seemed like the wrong combo with Mane and Salah, up top. And then when Diaz got brought on, it was like something switched, because it wasn't so much Diaz and his pace and his hold up, and his play down the wing, but I felt that it reset the balance in the squad, because it felt like Diogo's generally the one leading the line up top, sort of thing, and Mane was switched out to the side. Now with Mane playing central, it felt like that balance up front with Naby and Thiago coming into the match a little bit more. It just felt imbalanced. And then obviously Robbo, Trent as well, by the way, he got skinned a few times, sort of picked it up, and then obviously, we know what happened. But credit to them though. Credit to Villarreal. They played as well as they could. And I heard all the pundits say, oh, you know what? Like, why don't they come out in the second half and play the same way and blah, blah, blah. It takes a shit ton out of you to do that, right? Like, it's not like you can just do that for an entire 90. I mean, maybe you can if you're Liverpool, but I mean, if you're not used to that on a regular basis, it's really, really tough. And so I think they just ran out of gas. I don't know, Andrew, what do you think?
Well, listen, what a time to be a Red. You said, as I said when I first started off, how fortunate I was to be a Red during a very similar time of good fortune. And to be fair, in a relatively small community, you got to think Liverpool for its global presence. It's not like it's a mill and a half for the whole area. I think there's 300,000 live in the whole of the world. So you've got that. I mean, I remember cakes being like red if Liverpool won in the bakeries. But anyway, aside from that, listen, Europe, ever since that, from an 8-year-old, Europe has just been so special for me. I've seen the League Cups, but I think when Diaz is just this boy is something special. When 2 matches ago, when he trapped the ball behind his in a game. Not in practice, not during warm-up, like in a match. Game. Like, are you kidding me? Like, and it was just so matter of fact. Oh, I'm just going to knock this down here and just control the ball like this. I'm like magical. We are so blessed. And how do we continue to do this, Liverpool Football Club? We just think Keegan goes. We get this other lad called Dalglish. Every time we let Torres goes, we get Suarez. We get these people.
Rush goes. Barnes.
Yeah. and so Diaz. So I feel so confident when this result happened today. I didn't watch it. I rarely watch other teams play. When this result happened today, I was just like you guys before. I'm like, this is 81. Well, I'll have a bit of that. Let's go, boys. Let's book some flights to Paris.
So Andrew, I want to ask you something. Sorry, just before you jump in, it's been on my mind since you actually did your background story, but you had mentioned obviously the prime Liverpool. I mean, like this is like the 70s and 80s, right? In terms of the best times. If you time box, let's say the best 5 years or the best maybe 7 years, I feel like Jamie Carragher right now, by the way. But if you time box that period and you compare it now to, let's say, the past 5 years, granted, we haven't won as much in terms of trophies, but in terms of team and performance and manager and mentality and all that kind of stuff, how do you compare the two? Because you've seen it. You've seen the best of times, obviously, and these aren't too bad right now.
Well, it's bloody brilliant. So I don't want to get into the comparisons with Klopp and Shanks, but there's something there. There is something there, right? Yeah. The way he does something with the community. I don't know whether you've all seen that when he's on St. George's Square and he says he's talking to like Shankly's telling him off, and the crowd is like, I told you, and there's like you could hear a pin drop. So I think that people would do that for Klopp. If he was to speak, it would be silenced.
Oh yeah.
But I think, I don't know yet, and maybe it's because I'm applying those beautiful, thinking posters on your wall and what it was like to be a kid, your first scarf around your neck. But you think about, no, for me, these names come off my tongue: McDermott, Hughes, Rush, like Toshak, Keegan, Clements, Phil Thompson, Phil Neal, like Alan Hansen. All those names are legends in my book, and these are names that the modern day supporter I think still knows. I don't know whether we've got there with these squads yet. Obviously, we have with Stevie G and Jamie Carragher, and this, with peppered throughout. But I don't know whether we've got that there yet. I don't know. But hey, I tell you, the squad we've got is immense. Now, I'm coming at from rose-tinted glasses as a 52-year-old man. So I got my biases.
No, it's absolutely.
And we have to talk a little bit about today's game as well, because what I have to say is these Champions League finals and Champions League glory, it's not for everyone. It's not for everyone, Like,
he was waiting for that.
Yeah, like, sorry, like you can buy stuff, you can buy toys, you can buy a few cups, but that big one with the big ears, the Man Cities and the PSGs, you just have to watch. It's all good. You're gonna see
Football heritage.
13 times versus 6 times go at it, and your zeros can just watch from over there and all, swimming in all the petrol money and just like enjoy yourselves. No, for real though, tonight's game was absolutely nuts, and it's crazy because I always say Champions League is the craziest thing in sports. Like I always say that, and it's interesting how it seems to just keep manifesting itself. What's so interesting is last week, when I watched the game at the Etihad, and Man City were dominant in that game. Like if that game had finished like 8-1, 8-2, nobody could have said anything. And even today, they had a bunch of chances, when they were winning. They had like 2 off the line. Grealish had one that...
Grealish, at the end.
They had one off the line with Grealish that came back, and Foden should have scored. And then Grealish went through again one-on-one. And this is before even Madrid have scored one at this point, and one of those goes in. But just the late drama and just like the way the teams, because why it's so different to the Premier League, and love the Premier League, it's our bread and butter, but why it's so different to the Premier League is because there are teams in the Premier League who just don't believe. We see it against Man City, and Man City and other teams probably say it about us. We don't think so. Like, we think Southampton are going to score against us and Brighton are going to score against us. But if you ask other fan bases, they're like, oh, everybody lays down for Liverpool, right? And we say everybody lays down for Man City. Nobody lays down in the Champions League. Like, nobody lays down. It's like, wait, hang on. We've got 5 minutes we could do this, because they're used to winning leagues. They're used to, and that's why a European Super League won't work, because these teams need to be winning their leagues and, like having a lot of domestic success. So then when they come to these matches, they also have that elite winning mentality. If you're, sorry, mate.
No, I was going to say, just your point. I think that's a great point, because if you think about the old European Cup, I know everyone's in the last 20 years or 30 years, right? But the old European Cup, you only qualified by winning your domestic league, right? And at the end of the day, who used to do that? Bayern, Real, us, maybe was Villa one year, and obviously Forest as well. But like, Everton, Milan, or Diev. But that pedigree and that mentality has carried through generations. And you know what? I hate saying this, but the only other club that I think can match Liverpool's sort of like love with Europe and European nights and everything else is actually Madrid, because they have a lot of comparable moments, late drama moments in finals or in qualification and all that. So like, I obviously who we're going to be up against, but I feel their luck's going to run out. At the end of the day, the luck's going to run out on the 28th. And so when Mo Salah is right there as the king, sort of calling out the prophecy right on social media, hopefully we can, deliver on the day. Jake, what do you think, man? In
the chat group, one of the things that made me laugh today was when Spartak Moscow, I think, said,
I said that.
We have the same cups as Man City, the same chip with the 0. That made me laugh quite a bit today, which was fantastic. And you know what? Like exactly what everyone's saying is that these types of matches, you are revved up. You've won your league. You're playing against the best players in the entire planet, like serious footballers that have $100 million price tag, like $150 million price tag, like the elite. And you have, and at some points, right, when you're getting to these quarters and semis, whatever else, you're literally having the whole country support you, like the whole country, not just your local fan base or your global fan base. Like it's just absolutely immense. And today the last couple of days we saw some crazy matches, which is like just setting the stage for like the 28th at 3:00, which is going to be an immense match. How many people are trying to fly to Europe? Like I'm so jealous that Amar got tickets and he's going to
Amar. Shout out Amar. Yeah.
Respect Amar.
So did he get tickets through UEFA?
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah. I put 2 applications in and didn't get them, but I'm going. I'll be in Paris, just like I was in Madrid. Yes. I'm going to the just for the
saving that spare, man, just in case.
Yeah.
But like I'm in the supporters club like WhatsApp group around the world, and I'm just getting message after message. Oh, we got 2 here, and these people got 2 here, and these people got here from Australia, from this place, from that place, and I'm like, holy shit! Like I could not have been more jealous today, like of the days when people got a lot of denials. Oh, my friend in Munich got some, this person got some, and I was like, and they're starting to talk about the travel plans. Where are we staying? Can we just get like a little piece on the floor somewhere with a sleeping bag? Like, we don't care. What's this? And I'm just, and you're seeing that the red man, TAW, everyone's going, and then they're like, you need to get a ticket for George Sefton, and this, it's just like, it's crazy. And this is such a fantastic month for the Reds as a whole, and of course Klopp got an extension, which is another story. But yes, it's crazy. It's a beautiful experience to be a Red right now. This month is just electric and crazy for us, which is unheard of for me.
Here.
So Andrew, talk us through the Newcastle game, because that was a quick turnaround after last week's Villarreal match. So we played Wednesday against Villarreal at home. Should have beaten them, done and dusted. The same thing I was saying about Man City. Let them off the hook. And like something like 60 hours later, we were kicking off away to the most informed team in the country, apart from Liverpool and Man City. What do you think of that game? Any thoughts?
Never once did I think it was going to be an issue. In fact, I had it on and I still putted around because I thought, honestly, the confidence is so high right now. I just feel that even if you put 7 in, I have a sense that we're going to put 8 in. And as soon as it goes to 90 plus whatever, I think, we can bag 8 now. like we're going to win. I honestly still feel that. My son said it yesterday when the 2 went in. So that game against Newcastle, I was just so confident that we were gonna do it. And just to be a little cheeky, talking about the Manchester City not having cups, we even get Stevie G bringing Villa in a couple of weeks next week, and they've got one.
Yeah,
they've got one.
Yeah. But Tottenham don't. Before that, it's Tottenham. They don't know. They don't have that life either.
Yeah.
Just before we go into what's coming, though, we need to give Dan a moment to just bask in the Naby brilliance from Saturday.
Yes. Wow. Thank you. I appreciate the flowers, everyone. Thank you. I will be sending them to Naby's home address, and no, I'm joking. No,
beautiful.
You know what? It was such a delight to see. I think Jurgen also mentioned. You know what? It was funny with the Villarreal match too. he didn't have a great first half, and I was critical of him as well in the chat, obviously. But credit to him, Thiago, some of the players to actually have that mentality to come back strong in that second half at Villarreal. With Newcastle, I felt like with the rotation, I thought he was great at driving forward and stuff, and he was man of the match for me. I thought beyond the goal, I thought he was just really progressive with his play, and that's the Naby that we wanted to see when we bought him. I think he's been injured, not having a rhythm, like Jurgen said in his press conferences. It takes a lot out of a player, right? When you're not in rhythm, you're stopping, starting, injured, coming back, training with, and you never get a proper rhythm. And then he's finally having that. And I'm knock on wood, but I hope it continues for the rest of the season, obviously, and perhaps into the next 4 or 5 years when he gets extended, if you know what I'm saying.
But Dan, as you said before, this is so hard. This is when we all say in the game, we all say, "Oh, you bastard! Why did you do that?" And you're thinking, "Gosh, these guys are doing this at full speed against the best players in the world."
Yes.
And it's just incredible that we have, like, I'm a huge Naby fan. Huge.
Thank you.
I love guys.
Virtual high
five.
fives.
I love guys who play football, who aren't afraid to put their boot in, and who aren't afraid to play what was, I guess, old English football, like where you were going to get your leg broken or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I just really love him. I really do love him.
Andrew, you've just elevated, by the way, in the ranks with these other two lads on this. So you're just going to be like my bestie now. Man, when you come for the final, we're going to have to sit next to each other, I think.
Okay, man.
But anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Andrew, do you know Liverpool Toronto actually has our own Naby Keita gem? Do you know that? Have you heard that one?
It's a little X-rated.
Yeah, I can do the PG one. Oh, Naby Keita, you are the love of my life, oh, Naby Keita.
I'll let you,
my wife, oh, Naby Keita. So next time you're here, we'll sit you next to Dan, and we can just sing that at the top of our voices.
Done.
Andrew, you're getting a couple points on me for those comments. You already have a couple points lined up.
Love it.
So.
Cheers.
By the way, Zaz, I think you got to clip that, man, for our social.
Done.
The song right there, I think.
Done. Moving it along, Jake. This Saturday, for some reason, we've got a Saturday night under the lights. Not sure why that even is a thing, because usually BT have the 7:30 game. Yeah.
Pigeons. Yeah, I mean, you know what? Like, we've got a good coach. He's turned it around a little bit. I don't know, but the thing is that now in this packed month, like, who starts? Like, who's going to play? Like, again, knock on wood, like when watching the Man City game today, Walker got injured, and that's my qualm. I don't want anyone for the next 6 games or to the 6th game to get injured, right? 2 cup finals we've got this month, got 4 games. Every single match we have until the end of the year is a final for us. So, they have a strong squad. I think, I'm always worried about Son. I don't really care about Kane. Kane's, whatever. I don't like Man City can have him, whatever. I don't care about that. But they have a good coach. They've got a good structure now. They've got some winning ways from their standpoint. Nothing that we can't tackle and we can't beat, I think, right? We're fine from that. I just don't know. Like, this Newcastle one, was I surprised that Millie was in here, which was man of the match, which he killed. He ran around like there was no tomorrow.
Yeah, he played well.
He must have got some kind of Lucozade version of Ribena because he was going around like all over the place. But
full of energy.
Who is going to start on our thing? Like, are we going to rotate anyone? Like, what are we going to keep the unit? Will Diogo kind of come back in because he had this? Are we resting anyone? What's going to be like? What's and it's a later game from that standpoint. I'm very concerned about the squad that's going to be playing that day. Not that I won't have faith in them. I'm just like thinking, okay, how this is going to play out for the next little bit. Do we just kind of revert back? Does Sadio go back to the wing? I think Bobby's not fit yet. I don't think he's on the verge of.
He's almost there.
He's a couple weeks away. So it's interesting. Going to be. It's like who's going to be on the pitch at the time. I think for the remaining games, Chelsea included, whatever else, we can beat anyone. I think we can beat anyone on the planet right now in the form that we're in. So it's going to be interesting to see who kind of chops and changes and who gets that starting role for that match. But I'm not concerned.
Don't you think don't you think we just go out and bag 3 or 4 in the first, first 40 minutes?
Is it
and
home
then
or away?
Home,
I don't know if it's
home.
It's home.
Anfield,
okay.
home.
Bag a bunch
That's a big
and then
thing.
start yanking, because how many subs do you have now? 8?
Yeah.
But we can start pulling, you get your players on and start yanking them off at 70 minutes and then giving them rest. But Jake, I'd like to see us go and make these clear victories.
I need to get because I think the goal difference is now down to 1, I think.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Right, I think in the end, I think the goal difference is down. I think we were at 9 ahead before, like maybe a week and a half ago. I think it's 1.
Yeah.
So yes, agreed. Whether it's Wolves, whether it's whatever else, whoever we're playing, I want us to hammer the shit out of them so we can just push that limit in case that becomes part of the equation that we need to have that. Hopefully it's not, but if it is, I want us to be ready from that standpoint. But can we I don't even know who's on the defense for Spurs anymore. Like I don't know who's playing there. Like is it still
it's Sanchez and
Romero. And Romero.
Sanchez and Romero.
Actually, a really Argentinian guy. Romero is actually a really good defender. He's actually really, but not like to me. Just to jump in with the team, I think Sadio and Mo have to play 9 and right wing every match, which means Diaz has to play. I'm really sorry, like Diogo, like I absolutely love you. It's not him. It's not him. It's the system. The problem is, it's like we were built in a system where Diogo was undroppable. He would be undroppable because he's that good. The problem is at the moment is Mo's undroppable anyway. Sadio's made himself once again undroppable, but in the number 9, he's not as good in the number 10, just like Mo wouldn't be good on, like they have their positions. Sadio's new position from now is number 9, which means the left wing is Luis Diaz. Like, I'm sorry to say that, right? Like, I just feel like we're at that point now where every match we need to win. There's no hard feelings. Diogo's got an amazing future at the club. We don't even know if we're going to keep Mo and Sadio and Bobby, all of them. Neither of them have signed. Diogo's got an illustrious career ahead of him for Liverpool. But this season, every game is now 3 or 4 days apart. These guys have got the fitness to play 60, 70. As Andrew says, win the game if we can nice and early and start pulling them off. That's what I
Do you know what,
say.
though? Do you know what though? The Villa match away is actually not that far away. So we only have 2 days in between matches, which is a really quick turnaround. If you think about you're playing under the lights Saturday night, and you're playing at Villa Park on Tuesday. You know what I mean? So and I know that we're mentality monsters, but traveling to Spain, coming back the high from winning, it takes maybe a little bit out of you. But I would like to see Hendo start the match at Spurs, especially at home. That leadership. He came in obviously with at the end there with Millie and Costas as well. By the way, Costas can relieve Andy a little bit because he looked a bit fatigued, Robbo. So I'm hoping to see Costas back in. He's been a good servant for us, and I think has a future. Even though there's some rumors that he's going to go to like Milan or something like that. I don't know. I heard something that they were planning a bid or something like that. But yeah, no, I think full squad and attention to Spurs because that's going to be the challenge. But Villa away ain't going to be easy. Quick turnaround, and then an FA Cup final. Like it's like, guys, it's ridiculous what's coming up. And
can you imagine though? Can you imagine like in looking at the stats right now? We've only lost 2 matches in the Prem, right? And if we had Diaz from the beginning of the season, having a warm up and a preseason with the team to gel at that moment, and having a winning and having that kind of preseason to get into the league, and then like I don't think we would have had 7 draws. Like we would have I think we would have got. I felt like we'd have like 200 points at the end of the year, and like there would have been nothing. We'd have been killing teams 5-0, 4-0, like on the trot. But it's a good thing for next year though. Then when he settles in, he's had this. See the tears in his eyes the other day, like yesterday. He's going to the Champions League final. Like I'm not,
Match winner, man.
and he's winning. He was, in Porto, he's winning games and leagues and whatever. But this is on a whole another level, right? So
he's played the most amount of matches, by the way, out of anyone in the world, apparently. Like in
the last 12
football.
Months. Yeah.
In the last 12 months, there's a stat,
yeah.
and Mo and Sadio around 60. He's played something like 66 matches, which if you extrapolate, if he plays as part of the next 6 that remaining period, over 70 matches in a year. That's just crazy. I don't know how these guys do it, honestly.
But wouldn't you even take you even take a knackered? You'd take a knackered Mane and Mo on the pitch anyway, wouldn't you? Like even if they're running slowly, even if they're knackered, because it only takes one. We've all seen them do it. They not having a good game, and then all of a sudden it's the greatest goal that's ever been scored.
Well,
no, absolutely.
In Mo's lean period, he makes an assist every game. Like even Fabinho's goal the other day, it's Mo who picks him out. So it's like, those two are like untouchable. Like it's the number of goals they're connecting now as well, right? Like when they used to play on 2 different wings, it's different. But at this point, it's like it's almost like a power play because they're so close together in the 9. It's like it's silly not to play that. Just to counterbalance what Jake said, though, they could have had Kane or Ronaldo, right? Like that also is like we could have had Diaz earlier. They messed up so bad getting Grealish first. Don't want to punk Grealish. It is what it is. Like he's going to have a good future in football. Is he worth 100 million? Sure. Like we can debate that till the cows come home. But the truth is, if they had actually bought that striker first, and so if they'd said to Tottenham, name your price, Tottenham say 150, and they haven't spent a penny, and they're like, okay, we'll spend 150 on Kane, and then they go to get Grealish, and they're like, oh, we want 100 for Grealish, and they're like, sorry, we've already spent 150, we're out of budget. You don't see $100 million substitute. You see £150 million number 9, and maybe they've run away with it by now. So it's like it's one of those where I'll take the chips as they've fallen. We just need that one trickly, like something going in off someone's shirt, or like we just need that Could it
be Villa? Like, could it be Villa Coutinho? Like, there's a story, silver lining, that maybe them doing the favor for us. I mean,
that's at the Etihad though, or the Etihad. That's not actually a Villa Park, right? Like that's actually the last game of the season. That's at home for City. So Villa visits them. So Stevie has a job there to do.
Totally.
I don't want to annoy the Coutinho fanboys, but he might have his 1 in 4 game that day, because he's a top.
Actually, Zaz, I wanted, or actually to the group, I wanted to throw this out to you, and I know this is something that got picked up after the match yesterday, and it was a rare moment of honesty that I appreciate from athletes when they actually come out and do an interview and they actually say what they really think and mean. So you know where I'm going with this, right? So that 5-minute clip, and maybe I'll share it with us in the chat and all that. But that 5-minute clip with with Rio and Michael Owen and Peter Crouch on BT that Mo Salah did, and just his notion of his targets and his mentality, and you can talk about the contract, but just who he wants for the next opponent, all that kind of stuff. What do you think about that in terms of him being so honest and open about it, rather than just say, what, I don't care, stock answers that athletes always have, right? Oh yeah, we're gonna give 110% and blah blah blah. This was like, no, we want revenge from Madrid. No, I want to score 40 goals and 10 assists. And you know what, I got there and it was really added. What do you guys think about that? I thought it was really refreshing.
Andrew?
I love it. I saw it, and this is something that I also love about Mo. I think he, and I think I was talking about this with someone last week, and this is something I think we as Liverpool Football Club it's so precious for us to embrace him. His honesty, the type of man he is. The fact that our center forward, our great player is Muslim, should be celebrated. The fact that he's Egyptian, he's not English. These are the things that make the world smaller. And we've got kids walking around, in Liverpool and with Salah on the back. And I just think this is just a great thing for football. And
Absolutely.
these are the types of things that should be bringing the world together. And with Liverpool being a melting pot, I think it's just perfect that he is our talisman. And so when he speaks honestly, and I think he has when he's talked about the contract, I just find it so refreshing. And it's easy because we know he's not, by his faith, he's not going to lie.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
So he just, by purely on that. So for me, I find it very refreshing, and I sort of get a sense of, I know where he is.
Mm-hmm.
So bring it on all day.
Jake, what do you know? That's
I love it. I've said it time and time again how lucky we are because Mane and Salah are not womanizers. They're not getting shit-faced. They're not getting, they're not in the news in the negative. They're building hospitals. They're building schools. They're doing all community stuff. Like Mane going and get water for his teammates. His phone's broken. Like just all of that stuff. And he's like, what am I going to do with this money? I'm going to build up my community. I'm going to build up this. I'm going to do these things, which is such a humbling dynamic because when you get to their roots of stories where Mo had to travel 8 hours to get to practice, and doing all those things, they didn't have shoes, didn't have this to get to these levels and be humble, be like, I'm at the level, I'm one of the best players in the world and this is what's happening. And I owe it to my audience. I owe it to my fans. Again, we've said it before, like if they leave football tomorrow and they run for the presidency of their countries, they're going to win. Like that's the kind of dynamic and following they have. And we are super blessed because even from Bobby perspective and Allison, right? There are very religious people, right? They're having fun and they're having, all that kind of stuff. But you can see the family dynamic with all of them, right? The children get together, this gets together, and
they have a great culture in the squad.
You're so lucky.
And the manager,
so lucky because we don't see, no one's in the media for doing bad things. They're not in court. They're not doing any of that kind of stuff, which plagues other teams, right? Other teams, and so we don't have that. It's beautiful, and we're so lucky to have that
as
part of our squad. And I think also from the Klopp perspective, that's what he's instilling, right? That's what he's instilling, that kind of mentality with the family dynamic,
Yeah, and one thing I just want to say, because I know I was actually going to jump in, but one thing I wanted to say, and it was brought up by Roy Keane in some of the punditry, and in terms of the United dressing room, for example, and he always talks about characters and like that kind of thing, right? Having the right characters in your dressing room. I have to actually, and I think you guys all agree, our recruitment is amazing, not just on the technical skill and the age and the analytics. It's also on the fit and the culture and the mentality of the player, their upbringing, their story. Look at Diaz, look at Mane, look at Salah. I mean, they're coming from some of the most modest backgrounds that you could find. And I'm not saying that you have to have that to be a great player. Obviously, there are others, but it's just crazy that the recruitment is also not just looking at obviously the technical, but you're looking at the actual person first. And I think that's what embodies Liverpool and our culture and everything about us. So sorry as you were going to say.
No,
just on the comments.
No, I thought the honesty was amazing, and it was funny as well. To be honest, it was just banter.
He was having a good time,
Yeah. I just think the honesty and the humility in the club is amazing, but there's also a really cool sense of confidence around as well.
That's right?
In most other things, if you watch sports movies or you see biopics and things, somebody who was on the top of the world like Mo was at 20 goals by February, and he's at by March, and it's May and he's on 22. Most of those people would be having a really big confidence crash. They'd be like, no, I'm not talking in front of the cameras, and I feel even that part of our squad is so cool that he came out so casually and just, he just won the Football Writers Player of the Year. He's a very big contender for the PFA Player of the Year as well, and yet in the midst of this Mo's off form, Mo's this, Mo's that, confidence crisis, and he just comes up and does the realist post-game interview have we ever seen one like that? He named the opponents, he named his targets. It's just they just know. Yeah. And again, it all comes down to the culture that Jurgen has set. Like everything about it is like because Klopp does it. Klopp says these things, you know, and like what I found really intuitive about Klopp's, because I'm in marketing and PR and comms, as we know, like what I found really intuitive about Klopp's announcement last week was he took a second to talk about the haters. Like Liverpool and successful people have people who don't like your success and wish you failure. So he actually says, some of you won't like this. If you don't like this, please like turn it off now. Do you know how intuitive that is as a leader, right? Because in these circles, you're meant to be like, block the haters out, like don't talk about it. You know, that like leadership 101 is like, you know, don't listen to things like that. Like you have to like, and he's like got that like streetness about him where he's like, no, like this exists and I'm even going to acknowledge it in my official communications about the fact that I am extending. It's genius and that's how he connects with people, because people feel those things, right? Like we always have these conversations about like, we don't want United to go top 4, or like, do we want Everton to go down? Maybe we want Everton to go down. Can you imagine how much disdain they have for us right now? You know, like we casually going for
Andrew's family there. I don't know, half his family are like, oh man, I don't know.
Yeah, like we casually going for 4 and we drop in like snidey little, we don't want United to get the top 4. Or, wouldn't it be funny if Everton go down? And really, like across Stanley Park or down the East Lancs, they're like, anybody but Liverpool. Like, no, you know, Devil's Club, like like, come on, Real Madrid. You know, like the whole country will be behind Real Madrid.
Oh, yeah.
The whole country will be behind Real Madrid. And the fact that he's able to like add that into his communication and do it so charmingly, I feel like Salah's just taking that lead, you know, like Salah's taking that lead. So,
that's against the world.
Don't you think that the way that the club is set up is really also a reflection of what the community as a whole is, the whole of Merseyside? And I mean, this is we have Liverpool's got the largest Chinatown in Europe. Jamaican culture settled there. Like this is a community. When I grew up in the area, I didn't know what racism was. My best friends, my 2 best friends were East Indian. I didn't know they were any different than me. Just they ate better food. But that's the only thing that I knew. So that's the community that is reflected now on the pitch. I think, and I think that that was a great thing that Shankly did, he knew that he wanted to embrace the people and the culture of Liverpool, and I think that's why Klopp is resonating so, because he's hitting the people in the community who buy into it. It was like, he's representing us.
He activated the community. He activated. That's what Rafa couldn't do, unfortunately. Like he's a great football manager. He's a great footballer. He couldn't activate the community like Shankly. Sorry, Dan.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say there was the famous Shankly quote, right? Of "I made the people happy." You know, like that's the number one thing that I'm here to do, and irrespective of everything. And some of his other famous quotes about winning is everything and that kind of thing, or more important than death, or all that. I just feel like that connection to the club, and that's why I feel like Jurgen. I think that's why our fan base is sort of fretting, like, what's going to happen in 2 years? And when that announcement came, it was like, could this really happen? It was leaked on one, I was like, wow. When that happened, it felt like a trophy for me. Honestly, just even 2 years more, it just felt like something. And I don't know, maybe I'm going to get chastised by these comments in the group, but I don't care. I love Jurgen. I love what he brings. I love the culture he stands.
Absolutely.
I love his wife, his family, everything about him. And he's the perfect.
We all love his wife, mate.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. Ula, the Scouse Queen. Ula, the Scouse Queen, for sure. Yes.
Okay, it's time to wrap this up. Let's talk a bit very quickly about our plans for the FA Cup final. Now, normally Jake would do this,
Yeah, you go ahead. You have
I'm
the
just
10
going to do
points
it.
of reference.
I have the point form here, so I'm just going to go through it. And we might even just cut this piece and just have it as a standalone video and post it on our networks as well. But just to get into it, so we've got our plans for the FA Cup final, and they are different to how we had the Carabao Cup final and the Premier League showdown with Manchester City. There are no tickets this time. So number one, it's at the Madison and the Sly Fox. So Elephant and Castle will not be screening this. So if you're in Toronto, come to the Maddie. If you're in Burlington, Hamilton, Mississauga, Sly Fox is a great option. Number two, I've said it before and I'll say it again, absolutely no tickets or reservations, I'm afraid. Seats and tables are not guaranteed. It's basically all going to be allocated on a first come, first serve basis. We've tried a few different things. This is probably one of the only fairest ways to do it, and we're going to try it for the FA Cup final. Number three, of course, our members, who obviously are the lifeblood of this community, they get priority. So with the game kicking off at 11:45, members can start being allowed in from 9:45. What time members you choose to queue from, that's your choice. We obviously can't predict that. It's a 11:45 game, so it's not like a 3 p.m. game or a 5 p.m. game. It's a 11:45 a.m. game. Do with that what you will, but the first people will be allowed in at 9:45, and they will be members. Please have your digital membership card handy. You can easily log into it, and at some point we will make a video where we log into an account on our phone and just upload it, so you can just see that again from like that perspective. Non-members will be allowed to enter from 10:45 a.m., so 1 hour before the line. We are expecting lineups, of course, but just know there will be two separate lineups. So there will be one lineup for members and one lineup for non-members. And what I would say is, if you're a member and you're with a non-member, please just make sure that they're in the non-member line, because they won't get in. And there's nothing we can do about that at that point. It will be pretty strict that if members are getting in first, it's just the way it is. But here's the way you can solve that. You can actually become a member today and all the way up to the day of the game to benefit from all the perks. So you get in first. You obviously, that means you get a better priority on seating, but also on the day, you get 15% off your bill, which probably pays for the membership. So think about it that way. And finally, this is something that we're super excited about. No matter what happens, because we're so proud of our team, please stick around and make plans to stick around after the game, because this time there is going to be a bit of an after party after the final whistle, featuring Liverpool music and chants to celebrate the team. So that's it in a nutshell. Again, we'll do a few more of these posts in the next 10 days because, you know, we just want people to be really aware of what the arrangements are. But if you do know anybody who's come in, please share this with them. Just please make sure that they're aware as well. It's no tickets. There's no tickets. There's no Eventbrite. There's no tickets on our website. It's first come, first serve, and become a member, because it's just going to be a better experience.
Well said.
Yes.
Cool,
I can't believe you've got bloody digital membership card. I mean, how cool is that? Come on.
With the QR code too.
Yes. No photocopied, you know.
The laminating machine.
Yeah. having to meet Graham down at Scallywags for him to give you the card, and like, oh, I can't meet Wednesday, but maybe digital. Fair dues to you guys, man. Way to go.
Yeah, Andy,
Andrew, this has been
very much. Yeah, this has been, you can wrap it up.
Yes, man.
And thank you very much for many things. So thank you to you, Ben, like, you know,
Absolutely.
Lisa, Nora, like all of the people before us that created this great foundation. Because if it wasn't for your ingenuity, your togetherness, your community spirit to go out and reach out to the parent club to get this stuff organized, we wouldn't be friends. Like we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here. And you know, it's right now we're almost at 500 paid members, right?
That's great.
And we've just started this journey. We've got a a lot of things coming for the futures. But thank you very much for all that hard work and effort. We sincerely do appreciate it. Thank you so much.
That's very kind. And thank you for doing everything you do. You're gonna hit 1,000 next time you have me on. We'll be talking about 1,000 members.
Yes, we will.
Okay,
absolutely.
All the Reds, Champions League title going Reds.